After a chaotic opening day in the 2023 USL Championship playoffs, it rolls on and it finishes the first round this afternoon from Patriots Point. It is the 3 seed, the Charleston Battery, playing host to this 6 seed, Indy 11. With the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey, I'm Josh Eastern. Thanks so much for being with us. And how about the 1, the 2, and the 4 seeds all going out? It's Louisville playing host to Detroit, and the winner of our game here today will play host to Birmingham Legion next week in the conference semis. Of course, it all leads up to the USL final on November 12th. But in terms of these two teams, it's been a while since they have been in the playoffs. 4 years for Indy, 3 for Charleston.
Yeah, for Charleston in particular, with new coach Ben Pierman coming in, the biggest turnaround ever in the history of the USL. From last season to this season, they have been absolutely brilliant. And Indy 11, they've looked so good on so many occasions. You wonder if Mark Lowry can take this team all the way. They've got plenty of talent. These are two very good sides.
And speaking of these two sides, not a lot to split them in terms of these numbers either.
There isn't, and funny enough, Charleston actually conceding more than Indy 11 and yet landing up way ahead of them in terms of the seeding. But I think that's due to a 7-0 thrashing from San Antonio and a 4-0 thrashing at home by this very same Indy 11.
Yeah, it's been a couple of interesting matchups between these two. We'll get into that a little bit later, but in terms of some players to watch, how about Augie Williams? 16 goals last year, 13 this year.
Yeah, fantastic plays, big and strong. Look at this chest. I mean, to position it just on his right foot so he can volley at home against Detroit, absolutely brilliant. So he can use his head, as you see there. He can use both feet, and he's got the power and strength even to bundle that one over the line. He's an impressive player from every perspective.
And on the other side, Sebastian Guenzati, he knows a thing or two about playoff success with Tampa Bay.
And does he not? He scores so many goals. Managed to get a goal last time out against San Antonio after a couple of games without, but he's got that sort of fox in the box ability. He can read balls. He knows how to get on the end of them. He has this relationship with Solo Santo. Unfortunately, he won't be playing today, but look how he gets on the end and just flicks it into the goal. A slightly different striker to Augie Williams, but nonetheless a terrific player.
We are building you up to first kick from Charleston. Yesterday, a wild day in the Eastern Conference. Will be the higher seed in Charleston or the upset-minded Indy 11. We'll have lineups and first kick coming up next.
The estimated hold time is now 96 minutes.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
This is your vacation, your beach, your fields of green, skies of blue, mountains of majesty. You're an athlete, you're obsessed, you're in love, you're in pain, spirit drained, in agony, fighting gravity. Because you made a commitment to yourself and others to work on your game, build your frame in blazing heat, exhausted and beat. Because when you refuse to yield, your spirit is revealed. You are an athlete. MUSC Health Sports Medicine.
The estimated hold time is now 96 minutes.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
Just a picture-perfect Sunday evening here from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, just outside of Charleston. Building you up to first kick, the Charleston Battery and Indy 11, the final game of this Eastern Conference first round. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. They are brought to you by Bud Light. Ben Pierman, just one change and a big addition into the starting lineup.
Yeah, Fidel Barajas back from Mexico U17 international duty. A tough for Tristan Traeger, who's been playing really well in recent weeks, but he drops down to the bench. Otherwise, it's at 4-2-3-1. Markanik really good last time out, and he's earned his place in that starting lineup.
And on the other side for Indy 11, some injuries, some red card suspensions, so 3 changes for Mark Lowry.
Yeah, Mishak Jerome comes in for Jesus Vasquez, who goes to the bench. Harrison Robledo starts. Solo Asante suspended, double yellow last game. And Macca King in for Jack Blake, who is injured and not available. More of a 4-4-2 lineup. Robledo and Velasquez bombing down the wings, trying to get service into Martinez and Gonzadi.
Still plenty of goal-scoring power in this lineup. Really on both sides, as we showed you in the open, these teams, you look at the numbers, very even, although there were 10 points that separated them in the standings in 2023. And of course, the 2 matchups between these 2 sides here this season, 2 very opposite results. A 4-0 win for Indy all the way back in June here in Charleston, and then the return game in July, a 1-1 draw. There is our referee. It is Jeremy Shear. And Gary, you cannot ask for a better day. It's 78 degrees, not a cloud in sight. Well, let's take a look at our keys to the game when we have a moment. They are brought to you by Gildan, a leader in high-quality, comfortable apparel basics located right here in the Low Country.
Yep, Ben Pierman saying important for Charleston Battery to pick good pressure points. In other words, time to high press, because Indy are very good at playing through the press. So you can't do it all the time. You've got to pick your moments. And from Mark Lowry, protect the ball. We're a possession-based team, Indy 11. We want to hold that possession. We want to protect the ball and make sure it stays with us.
So here we go. It is the first home playoff match for the Charleston Battery since 2018. The first home playoff match here at Patriots Point, and it is underway. The Charleston Battery and Indy 11. Third matchup between these two here in 2023, and the final conference quarterfinal of this 2023 USL Championship playoffs. And as we mentioned yesterday, what a chaotic day. All of the top seeds losing. So now it's Charleston. They might have the inside track to potentially hosting the USL Championship final, but first they got to get through Indy 11.
Yeah, they've got to get through Indy 11, and then they've got to get through the next game. But if they go all the way, and if Sac Republic get knocked out, and they've got San Antonio next, then they would host the US Championship final. That's the sort of carrot dangling there for Charleston Battery. But it's a tough match against Indy 11, and the winner of this at least will host Birmingham next round.
Jerome just getting a touch on that one. And there's Segbers stepping forward here for Charleston. Markanik, a bit of a heavy touch, goes to ground. Tim Trilk comes away with it. It's going to be a foul. And already tempers starting to flare with Markanik there going to ground. And chat there with Cam Lindley very quickly. So we look at our injury report presented by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. Quinn and Blake is out today. He was questionable. And of course, Solomon Asante suspended due to that double yellow he picked up last week. Big miss there for Indy.
Oh, huge miss for Indy. And it wasn't a bad second yellow. It was really tough on him. And to miss him, what a player, what an ability that Solo Asante has to change a match. But Indy will have to make a plan to do without him. They've got Macca King in there with Cam Lindley in the middle, and they've got Robledo and Velasquez wide. So they've got plenty of talent. As we say, the winner has a home tie against Birmingham Legion. By the way, didn't just beat Tampa Bay, they absolutely thumped them, 3-0.
And we were talking about that. Not a lot of teams going to Al Lang and not only win, but put up 3 goals. A very impressive day. That ball was floated forward at Dizpay, able to watch it sail over his head. So I guess we can say hello to all those Birmingham Legion fans watching this one, eagerly anticipating where they will be traveling next weekend.
Just congrats to them for an unbelievable result. I've got to be honest, I didn't give them much of a prayer, nor Detroit going to Pittsburgh Riverhounds. That's another huge result. Tampa Bay on home turf have been almost unbeatable, so well done to the Legion.
There's Tim Trilk to send it away. He's been the top choice goalkeeper for the past about 2.5 months now for this Indy side. Yannick Odell on the bench today for just the second time this season. Here's Segbers. Cuts it back for Chris Allen and blocked out a play by Guenzati.
You mentioned Trilk had an error in the last match against San Antonio. A long shot from Jorge Hernandez that he spilled, and Oluwase followed up and scored. But when we spoke to Mark Lowry about it, he said, you know what, Tim came in, held his hand up and said, I won't do that again. And he made a number of other fantastic saves in that match. And Mark Lowry says, no problem at all, get that one out your system. You know, we believe in you. So Tim Trilk has the ability to make stunning saves, which he did, by the way, against San Antonio.
And that was a 3-3 game last week in which Mark Lowry thought his team was fantastic for about an hour. With his team up 3-0, he thought, okay, we can maybe make some changes and save some people for this game here today. But then moments after those substitutions, Solomon Asante gets sent off, and going up against a 11-man San Antonio, when you're missing a man, that's always going to be a tough task on the road.
Yeah, it certainly was. And it was a rough second yellow. I sometimes think sometimes some referees will take it into account and go, you know what, if I'm going to send you off, it's got to be well deserved for the second yellow. It was very debatable and sad to see Solo Asante missing this game. But that's the rules. You've got to be careful when you're on a yellow. And this applies to this match as much as it applies to any other game, but especially in playoffs. Don't get that early yellow, because then you're walking on eggshells, and then something goes wrong, you get the second yellow, and that can determine who wins these sort of matches. Both coaches saying it could just be one little moment that swings the match one way or the other.
On the other side for Charleston, they lost 2 straight games for the first time all season going into that Birmingham game. Last week, this trickles all the way through, and there will be a foul. This is cleared away. Boy, maybe a nervy moment there for Tim Trilk once again. Is Marcanic, he's been getting forward with relative ease here in the early going.
He has. This is pressure coming from the home side. This is a big ball humped into the box there. Marcanic has that flash shot, and Tim Trilk spills that. And that was nearly bundled over the line. The goalkeeper again, it's a straightforward save, and as he did last week, a slip up. This time it didn't cost him. But you can't blame the Charleston Battery striker for sliding in on that one. That was there to be won. And all it was just a big, big ball up. And as you say, Marcanic was in great form last match against Birmingham, got the all-important goal and had a few other chances as well. Really earned his right to start here today.
9 goals, 2 assists this year for Marcanic in his first season here with Charleston. As we were saying with the Battery, of course, getting that win last week, but going into that game, they had lost 2 straight for the first time all season. But it seems like both these teams coming in pretty good form overall. Of course, Indy, they are unbeaten over their last 3 games, and Mark Lowry said he's very pleased about how his team has kind of grown through the season. It took some time early on, but it seems like they've been shooting up the table since about July.
And in particular, their road form, and it's obviously relevant here today because they're on the road. They've unbeaten in the last 3 on the road and lost only 1 of the last 7. So they're a good side when it comes to difficult circumstances. They enjoy playing on a grass pitch, is what Mark Lowry said. And clearly they're good battlers away from home. That's why this has the potential to be a really, really classic playoff match.
And the most road goals in the Eastern Conference with 27. And the second best road form in all of the league, only behind Charleston Battery. It's trickling all the way out of play. Although for Charleston now, the only time they'll be playing a road game would potentially be USL Championship final. They'll be at home if they can keep holding serve until that moment in the final.
And that's great for the fans at Patriots Point, because last season was not the best season. They really struggled, didn't make the playoffs, had a horrendous time. Ben Pierman's arrived, brought in a couple of crucial players, and the likes of Chris Allen, Derek Dodson, Declan Wynn, who's not even on the bench here today. He's had some injury problems, and he has turned this team around. Absolutely brilliant. Plus, Fidel Barajas has matured into a 17-year-old with some exceptional talent.
And not only one of the best young talents in North America, but he's been ranked among one of the top young talents on this planet. And that is really saying something for the Mexican Youth International. 4 goals, but 9 assists for Barajas this year. It's Guanzati feeling contact from Juan Palma. And a free kick right at midfield for Indy 11. There's Cam Lindley sending this forward very quickly. There's Trey Muse to come and claim it. Remember his first goal that he scored against Tampa Bay Rowdies, cutting in on that left foot.
Yes.
A special goal there for Barajas all the way back in March. And he has only gone on to back that up with plenty more special appearances and performances this year.
Well, only about 3 games ago, he got both goals in the home win over FC Tulsa, 2-1. Again, left foot shots into the corner, and a golazo, a very similar one. Absolutely brilliant striker of a ball, and no doubt Mark Lowry has told his defenders, if Barajas gets near the box, don't assume he can't score from 20, 25 yards out. Just get nice and close and don't let him have the attempt.
Collected in the middle, it's King. Playing this ahead, Martinez. Douglas Martinez ends up committing the foul there in the end. Martinez, of course, part of that Real Monarchs team that made that run all the way to the USL Championship final and winning the title back in 2019. Last year with Sacramento, scoring 5 goals as well. There's plenty of experience with playoff success on this Indy 11 side. Of course, the last time that Indy 11 was in the playoffs, you have to go all the way back to 2019, losing out to Lou City in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, Mark Lowry saying that he wants this team to be a regular in the playoffs, as his former team El Paso were. He says it's taken him about 20 games to get his culture, the possession-based football. He says, but as they've gone on with the season, so the team has improved. They've begun to understand what he wants and to understand each other.
Marcanic weaving forward, trying to get the shot away, and it's blocked out. Budati will deflect it out for a corner kick. First of the match for Charleston.
Yeah, good build-up. Marcanic again, that ability to run in the box, to threaten, to cause problems. You're not going to get through every time, but he has, since kickoff, he has threatened that defense of Indy 11.
Looks like Arturo Rodriguez will send this away. Putting it right on top of the goalkeeper, and it's in! Charleston has struck first. Emilio Ikaze is claiming it. 1-0 to the Battery.
That's a fantastic header. It's in an area where perhaps Tim Trilk should come and get it. If not him, then one of the other defenders. But let's give Arturo Rodriguez credit. He whips that corner into the near post. Look at the bend in it. It's almost going into the goal. Goalkeeper tries to get there, and he's beaten by Emilio Ikaze, who's not the tallest player in the team, but he's certainly one of the bravest. He gets in front of the goalkeeper there, Tim Trilk, and heads that into the back of the net. That's something they would have practiced time and time again in training, but fantastic corner, whipped in with pace, near post, and Emilio Ikaze take a bow. Bravery to get on the end of that. Beats the goalkeeper to the ball.
Battery goal with a sparkling finish is brought to you by Diamonds Direct for Emilio Ikaze. His 3rd goal this season. He's now scored in the last few games. 2 goals over the last 3 now for him. Or pardon me, 4 for him. And he gets a big early goal for the Charleston Battery. They had been knocking on the door early on, and he gets something to pay off. Is touched ahead. Battery trying to weave forward again. Comes out for Allen. Gonna lay this off and cleared away. Martinez. He was bumped. It's a free kick. Martinez asking for a yellow card. Referee will keep the cards in his pocket at this early juncture.
I think he's got a good shot for a yellow card. That was a professional foul. That was just blocking off a player who had played the ball into space and was on the counter-attack. Good bit of defending from Charleston Battery, but to me that is a professional foul. But important here for Indy just to keep cool, not let anything get away from them. Long way to go in this match yet. But again, credit Ben Pearman and Charleston Battery, the pressure they've put on in these first 13, 14 minutes. They've been having a go at that Indy goal and got their reward from a set piece. Just shows you the structure and organization that has been brought to Indy 11 by Ben Pearman this year.
How about getting off to a fast start as Rodriguez was looking to slip that in behind. They've scored 10 goals in the first 15 minutes. Only San Antonio have scored more in the opening quarter of an hour so far this season across the league. Palma having to nod this away, but still an opportunity to keep this alive for Martinez. Always say goals change games, but an early goal, how do you feel like that could change the complexion of this?
Well, this is a hard team to break down, Charleston Battery, on their home pitch. They've won 4 of the last 5, only conceded 3 goals in those 5 games. They're combative, as you can see. They get into you, they don't make it easy for you to get past them. So, difficult one for Indy 11 now. 1-0 down against a very solid defense away from home. It's all looking good for Ben Pearman in picture there.
Dottie talking with the referee. Jerome clears it all the way upfield. Archer sticking his head in when Zadi is bodied away there by Chris Allen. It's sent over the top. Pay gonna head that into the middle for Lindley. An important player to get on the ball, Cam Lindley, for this Indy 11 side. What great form he has been in as of late, Cam Lindley. As there will be another whistle here, and Augie Williams and Pay coming together. And it looks like a yellow card will go to Augie Williams. Remember, he was the one that had that challenge right on the goal line earlier, so that's 2 strikes, he's in the book.
Yeah, that's a yellow card. You've gone straight for the player, you've dropped your shoulder into him. And you can't do that sort of thing. And we see he steps into the player, it's clear what he's done. We were just saying 4 or 5 minutes ago, don't pick up unnecessary yellow cards. Imagine he gets another yellow now. Then he's off, they're down to 10 men. It could turn the whole match around. And I think Adrian Despay is saying, seriously, what are you doing?
This yellow card brought to you by Spinks Convenience Stores located across South Carolina. Williams has something to watch as this game continues on. Top goal scorer for the Charleston Battery 2 years running. His 16 goals last year, the most in a single season by a Charleston player since 2011. He's gone and pretty much backed it up with a similar number.
Oh, he's a critical player to the Battery. And now if you're a defender, you might just delay your odd clearance in the hope that he slides in and is a bit late and gets the second yellow. You're playing the odds. Why wouldn't you try and tempt him now that he's on a yellow? So suddenly it just changes the perspective for Charleston Battery. They've got to be so careful to look after Augie Williams here.
The game within the game. And you can already see it a little chippy on both sides, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is a playoff match.
May not be the cold weather and the kind of gritty game, but both these teams getting stuck in early as the cross comes in. Second chance, taken on the volley and blocked down. That was Fidel Barajas, who made good contact on the shot.
He's the last player you want to see hitting a volley on the edge of the box if you're Indy 11, so well blocked and defended.
Rodriguez cutting it in. Was he fouled? Referee was right there to see it and said no. course, we mentioned the players that are missing today for Indy 11. Aiden Quinn, who has been out for quite some time now. Of course, Solomon Asante on that yellow card, or the double yellow that he picked up last week in San Antonio. And then Jack Blake, he was questionable coming into play, but three very veteran and experienced players in these sorts of games to do it with maybe a few of their backups, including Macaulay King, who has it here. The shot bouncing into the arms of Trey Muse.
Keeper does well to gather at the second attempt. It sort of hits that rough patch in front of the keeper and bounces up on him. At least it's an effort. It wasn't the hardest one for the goalkeeper to deal with because it's at him, but the bounce in front, and that you can see that whole area has been scuffed in front of Trey Muse. Not easy for the keeper.
One more note on Macaulay King, his first start since the end of July against Lou City.
Yeah, he's had a couple of sub appearances in the last few weeks, but before that there was 2 months he was out. So important for him to just try and get his bearings and measurement back as quickly as possible.
Segbers pressured to throw into Indy. There's a look at Mark Lowry's second season in charge here. And that great run in El Paso. And trying to, well, he got this Indy team back to the playoffs for the first time since 2019. Now, as you mentioned earlier, trying to make that a regular occurrence after missing out last year in his first year in charge. After seeing all those upsets yesterday, he says, probably thinking, why not us? Let's keep it going.
Oh, absolutely. They've got every chance in. Even at 1-0 down, they're a very good side. It's cup football, or knockout football as such. And you've got every chance. That's why there's no need for Indy to change the way they're playing. I'm sure they won't. Mark Lowry's got them playing his system. And in fact, he said, if we lose, we will lose playing our way. We're not going to change. And their way is very much about possession base. Most passes in the USL, over 17,000, most possession at 56.2%, and second best for passing accuracy, 1% behind Phoenix 84%, and Indy 83%. So really build as a possession-based, hold the football type team. And according to Mark Lowry, that's how they will play this match, no matter what. It's a pity for them, as you say, missing crucial player. Aiden Quinn, what a lovely player he is. But serious injury. But Solo Asante was the big miss from last week's game. That second yellow. And that's what did Memphis in against Lou City yesterday. Memphis missing Rodrigo da Costa and a few other key players that weren't available. Luis Fernandez on the night. And in the end, they struggled to create goal-scoring opportunities. So I guess you do need a certain level of luck coming in to the playoffs. But ultimately, I guess, if you're on a yellow, Solo Asante, make sure you don't get the second yellow.
He's played ahead. Muse had it red and comes to claim it at the top of his area. Quick distribution for Segbers. Here's King, acquired mid-season from Colorado Springs.
It's interesting speaking to both managers about the result here at Patriots Point. A 4-0 win for Indy 11 took place after there was a red card against Charleston Battery in the first couple of minutes, and both managers saying it means nothing. Previous games don't count at all going into this match. Zorgi Williams goes down looking for sympathy and getting none from the referee.
It's just interesting how those two games were so different. Obviously 4-0 to Indy here in June, and then you go back to Indy in July. It's a 1-1 draw, and another red card given out in that game, although it went to Robbie Dambrot for Indy. Is that a sign of things to come? We're getting a red card in this one.
We've seen already with some of yesterday's matches, there's chippiness, and even in this match, there's been a few little moments, but as the game gets on, especially when it gets to the last 10, 15 minutes, then tempers really start to flare.
A late challenge there. That should be coming the other way. It is. Plato just a bit late.
Mark Lowry applauding the effort, not the tackle necessarily, but the effort that his team are putting in to close down Charleston Battery. Just a little bit of a late tackle, no malice in it, coming from Robledo.
It's interesting when you look at the matchup. Indy, as you mentioned, like to possess the ball, like to pass the ball. But Ben Pierman was talking about, we want to turn them over in their attacking area. So it sounds like they want to try to transition pretty quickly against this Indy team when they're out of position.
Yeah, and they can do. The likes of Augie Williams' pace, Nick Markanik, the way he brings the ball down, of course, Fidel Barajas, who we haven't seen a lot of in this first 25-odd minutes, but when he gets on the ball, he can be devastating. You want to get those players with the ball and with some space to head into. So being transitional and working on the counter-attack works for Charleston Battery. They can be devastating when they get it right.
It'll be interesting to see how long this 1-0 lead holds, because that could maybe force Charleston to bunker in as we get later on, and that's when Indy might be able to thrive. So we'll see how that all plays out. Trying to hold what they have.
Like we were saying, just 3 goals conceded in their last 5 home matches. They don't give you much, Charleston Battery. They defend well. They defend from the front as well. Augie Williams will slow things down. You can see here Barajas, Arturo Rodriguez, Markanik, all deep and in defensive positions.
Archer there to cover. The more experienced Charleston Battery players. He's been with this team now. This is his 6th season with the club. So much turnover the last couple of years, although he has stayed with this team through thick and thin. And hoping to help lead his team a little bit farther in these playoffs. Dottie, Segbers went to ground and wins it off. The Indy 11 outside back, as this comes all the way through for Tim Trilk. Just sends it back into the middle.
Again, important for Tim Trilk just to forget about his start to the match. He spilled the one simple shot and it nearly went over the line. He's going to be culpable to some degree for that ball being headed in at the near post.
Markanik in plenty of space. Sending the cross in. Dispay able to clear it into the air. It's still loose. Lindley. And now the whistle comes, and it is offside against Charleston.
Again, good pressure being brought on by the home side, forcing those Indy 11 defenders to have to work really hard to get the ball away from danger. Ben Pierman is making his point known to the 4th official.
For space in behind Martinez, some hard running, he'll get there. He went down and now trickles all the way to the end line. It's going to be a corner. How about that effort from Douglas Martinez? First corner kick of the game now for Indy 11.
Douglas Martinez going down a little bit too easily, and the assistant ref just saying, nope, I didn't see anything. Look at the assistant ref on your right, watch his hand here. As he goes down, you can see he goes up with his right hand, he goes up, you get nothing in that, and then keeps on battling and wins the corner. So that could be vital. Set pieces, they managed to score from those Indy 11. Dispay getting one against San Antonio in the last match.
Cam Lindley, 6 assists over his last 6 games, including 2 last week. This one floated in all the way to the back post. The header onto the roof of the net. And nothing doing on the first corner kick for Indy 11 this afternoon.
Set pieces can decide matches. If they're whipped in, we've seen already a goal from a corner. That can be difficult to defend when you've got big centre-backs flying in there as well. The likes of Dispay and Mishak Jerome on one side, Leland Archer, One Palmer on the other.
Ball did go out of play. Select, the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice. Again, looking to play it into those wide areas. Martinez couldn't get onto that one. Last time Charleston was in the playoffs, go back to 2020. Went on the road and got a win against Charlotte Independence, winning that one 2-1 in extra time before losing in the conference semis to the Tampa Bay Rowdies 1-0. As we mentioned, it'll be home cooking if they can keep winning, at least through the Eastern Conference. Jeremy Shear would like conversation with Arturo Rodriguez.
Koenig saying, listen to the ref, Rodriguez, don't argue. And that's the right thing to do. Refs have a really tough job, and when players walk away from them or don't want to turn up or have an attitude, just asking for trouble. You got to just play, you got to play nice, is the nicest way I can say it. Don't look for trouble with referees. Because as we see with Augie Williams, once you're on a yellow, then life becomes very difficult as a player. Every tackle you worry about whether you're going to overextend and get a second yellow.
It's Dodson, it's Dodson! It's just wide. Well, attacker turned outside back. Derek Dodson thought it took a deflection. It's out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I thought it was a save from Tim Trilk. At least he got his fingertips to it, but Derek Dodson strikes that beautifully, and it does seem to take a turn off the goalkeeper. Yeah, he does. He gets a fingertip to it, so good save, Tim Trilk. Unlucky Derek Dodson not to get the corner.
Kaza going to ground in the middle. He was lunging for that ball. Bringing Velasquez down. It doesn't look like the goal scorer will go into the book. This play continues on. King finding space on the far side.
Just looking back at that last match against San Antonio for Indy 11, the equalizer coming in the 88th minute from a corner. And here they start off conceding from a corner, so no doubt Mark Lowry and his coaching staff will not be happy with the defending and the marking for that set piece where Ikaza was able to header into the back of the net.
Another foul and another conversation with the referee. Sebastian Velasquez walking away.
Credit to Jeremy Shear. He's explaining to the players exactly what they're doing wrong, what he expects, and what trouble they will get into if they don't do what he's asking. I don't think you can ask for more than that as a player. It's explained to you. You know where the limits are. If you want to go over those limits, well, that's on you. Good refereeing, Jeremy Shear.
And we saw yesterday just how cards can be distributed in that Pittsburgh game. There was a card in, what, the 4th minute? They came out very quickly in that game, so it's all about the precedent that the referee sets. Obviously, Augustine Williams got himself into trouble early on.
It does seem to be, Jeremy Shear, the sort of referee who gives you a chance, gives you a warning. Obviously, if it's a bad tackle, he will book you, but generally he has warned a lot of players and he's given them a second chance. And the players are asking on both sides. They keep asking for cards to come out for each other. And the referee so far just the one card on Augie Williams. Again, another little warning. I mean, I guess as an ex-player myself, I want to see players stay on the pitch. I don't want to see anybody sent off, unless it's a nasty tackle. You come in and try and break my leg, then you deserve to go off. But other than that, you want to see players stay on. So I prefer referees who give you warnings and you know, give a little bit of leniency. But if your referee doesn't do that, as long as you're consistent, I don't mind. As you say, if you set the precedent and somebody chirps you and you give them a yellow card, then I know from then onwards, I'm not going to mess with that referee. I'm not going to put that referee under verbal pressure. So long as referees within themselves are consistent, then you as a player must learn which referee you're dealing with and what you can get away with.
Jeremy Shear did a Charleston game just a few weeks ago, so he's familiar with these players. It's the cross well over hit there by Budati, and it'll bounce out of play. Emilio Akaza from the corner kick in the 12th minute. That's the difference thus far. Arturo Rodriguez, the assist. His 4th assist of the season. Another push in the back and a free kick going Charleston's way. 2 players slow to get back up. Augie Williams the other.
Augie Williams complaining to the referee, and wouldn't be surprised if he's being targeted. As I said, once you're on a yellow, defenders will nudge you, push you, shove you, just in the hope that you lash out or you try and tackle them back and get a second yellow. It's all part of the dark arts of soccer. Augie Williams on enough about it. He's just got to keep cool and not react if, in fact, he is being baited. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
Eric Dodson going just a bit too quick there. Quick to get on with it.
I'm getting dizzy watching Sebastian Velasquez there.
It's turned over, and here comes Charleston. Gonna get all the way to the end line. 2 players get tangled up. It'll be a free kick against the young Fidel Barajas.
Barajas, a lot younger, a lot smaller, quick, but not strong enough to get past Adrian Despay. Gets a bit of a kick for his trouble, the youngster. They'll know he's such a threat, and they'll know that they have to try and calm him down, and couple of tough tackles. Fidel Barajas will have to get used to that. The quality he has is going to be targeted throughout his career, you would think. Comes with the territory.
What can Indy make of this? The cross coming in. Long run to try to keep this alive. Segbers touches it out before Robledo. Throwing for Indy 11. Maybe a chance for a long throw. Maka King coming over.
Got Despay at the near post. Good person to aim for.
Trying to get that flick towards goal. Muse out to punch it away as far as Robledo. Trying to keep it alive. Rodriguez, a chance to carry this out for Charleston. And looking for the ball in behind, but Michak Jerome had it covered there for Indy.
Rodriguez doing well just to hold the ball, wait for that run from Augie Williams. Nearly managed to thread the ball through.
They touch it away. It's Augie Williams. Williams, patience, and this one slips in. An absolute howler from the goalkeeper. And Charleston has 2 goals in this first half.
That's a horrible moment for Tim Trilk. He dropped it through his hands in the first couple of minutes, and you thought that was a one-off, but he's gone and done it again. Straightforward shot. There was power behind it. Give Augie Williams credit. There was power behind it. Well won here by Nick Markanek. Absolutely brilliant. And defenders have got quite a few attackers to watch, so they get spread thin. Augie Williams has time, but that's straight at the goalkeeper, and for the second week running, it's a crucial error, and you can blame him partly for the first goal as well. So horrendous game for Tim Trilk, who last week pulled out some brilliant saves, but now he has put his team in all sorts of trouble.
That dazzling play brought to you by Diamonds Direct for Augie Williams, up to 14 goals now this season. The He is loving life in Charleston. It's also his 30th USL Championship goal for the Charleston Battery.
We were saying earlier that we spoke to Mark Lowry about the error last week against San Antonio. Straightforward shot that bounced off Tim Trilk's chest and got banged into the back of the net. And he said, you know what, happy to get that mistake out the way, get that one done, and hopefully no more. Well, unfortunately for Indy 11, Tim Trilk's just repeated the error. But again, he did make a number of fantastic saves against San Antonio, so he's going to have a blinder in the rest of this match to make up for that error.
Pressured high up the field by Charleston, and they're able to win the ball back. A tough first 45 minutes here for Indy 11, but maybe a goal before halftime can get them back into this. But Charleston on the prowl again. It comes in, diving header! Arturo Rodriguez! And the Battery are flying it home! 3 first-half goals!
Well, that could be the dagger in the heart of Indy 11 and Tim Trilk's side. A lovely diving header from Rodriguez. But what about the cross from Barajas coming out wide here? Beautiful move down the right-hand side. Dodson sets it off. In fact, it's Ikaza with his head up who gets the ball in. And Mark Koenig, up with Arthur Rodriguez, rather, gets up, does so well, just hangs in the air. Look at him, hangs like a salmon there. Puts power behind the head and gets it in the corner. Nothing that Tim Trilk can do this time. He's going one way to his right. He can't get back to his left. Beautiful goal, and that really could be it.
A brilliant play by the Battery. Goal scored in the 40th minute. It is presented by Diamonds Direct. Ben Pierman, he's not showing on his facial expression, but I think he is jumping inside right now. 3 first-half goals, and 2 of them coming in very quick succession in the 37th and then the 40th.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to come back from this. 3-0 down away from home. It's going to take an unbelievable performance by Mark Lowry's men. As you say, Ben Pierman's got to be thinking, right, it's ours to throw away. If we just do our job, then we're going to find our way into the next round with Birmingham at home. Just to confirm, it was Fidel Barajas. I was right the first time I got the cross in. Lovely cross. We haven't seen much from the young man, but that was an inch-perfect cross. He picked out Arthur Rodriguez. He saw him, he saw where he was. Beautiful cross put in by the 17-year-old.
You don't see a lot of diving headers, but he got that one just right.
It's the sort of thing you do in training for fun. You sort of throw yourself up in the air, but that one he able to generate a bit of extra power behind that header, and Tim Trilk coming to his right just couldn't get his weight back to his left to make the save. And it's going to be a tough halftime talk by Mark Lowry. Don't know how you convince a team away from home against a very good team. You're 3-0 down, how you convince them to get themselves back in the match. But the obvious, and the point that he will no doubt say is get one, and we're back in this game. And that'll be what they will try and do Indy in the second 45 minutes.
Well, it's interesting. You can look at yesterday in 2 different ways, and it's interesting this game played today because you get to watch all the games yesterday. If you're Indy, you say, all right, all the lower seeds won, let's go make it 4 lower seeds that win. If you're Charleston, you can look at it and say, this is a real opportunity now. We are the top seed left. Let's go out and show it, and I think it's fair to say they're doing just that.
Oh, absolutely. There's some great results for Charleston yesterday. And in chatting to Ben Pierman, we asked him the question, what do you have to do to win the USL Championship? He says we have to obviously win this match at home and then just hope we get lots of luck and that home matches work our way. Well, he's got the luck in the next one. Not that Birmingham Legion's going to be easy. Go and watch the match against Tampa Bay Rowdies and see how good the Legion were, but if you had a choice between going to Tampa Bay or having Birmingham at home, I think you would choose, obviously, the Birmingham option, and that's what lays in waiting for this Charleston Battery side if they can finish it off here today.
Of course, they beat Birmingham here last week by a 1-0. So recency there for the Battery. All the way back to Trey Muse. Of course, this is a Battery side that has so much proud history. Since becoming a club in 1993, they've only missed the playoffs in 5 seasons since '93. They missed it in back-to-back years just twice. They've done a whole lot of winning and a whole lot of playing into October and November for this club. 4 titles in '96, '03, 2010, 2012. It's been a little while, but I'd like to add to that trophy case here in 2023.
I think that's why last season was such a shock for Charleston Battery fans. They were so used to at least making the playoffs, and they had a real disaster of a season. But wow, have they come back in style. Biggest change from one season to the next in USL history. Record number of wins. They really have had a fantastic season, and it looks like it's going to continue on to the next round. Certainly the odds are very much stacked in their favor now at 3-0.
Yeah, the 59 points, club high for most in the regular season, the USL Championship era, only surpassed by the 2002 63 points in the A-League. Here's Akaza. Moved out wide, it's Fidel Barajas. Dodson on the underlap. Derek Dodson looks to cut it back, Barajas goes down. The referee says no, it's Rodriguez. He couldn't get the shot away. Falls for Barajas again. The cross headed away by Michak Jerome as we are into 2 minutes of stoppage time. Brought to you by MUSC Health Sports Medicine. Still on the prowl. The Battery looking for a fourth. And they'll get a corner out of it.
There's a few players in that Indy side looking at each other, shaking their heads and trying to G each other up as well. It's all falling apart for them, not just 3-0 down, but they just haven't been able to create many opportunities up front. We've hardly mentioned Seba Guenzani. You need to get the ball to him if you want to score. Douglas Martinez has worked hard, but the rest of them have been battling in midfield. Velasquez, Robledo have been doing more defensive duty than anything else. Mark Lowry's going to have to really work some magic at half-time to turn this around.
Arturo Rodriguez. Driven ball in. Dodson was up for it. And it's headed over the bar. Again, pretty good set piece there from the Battery.
Very good set piece, very good header. Gets power on the header. Just can't keep it down, but it's meant to clear the box, you would think. And he's sort of unmarked at the back stick there. Robbie Damrot tries to bump into him, but ultimately it was a free header, and perhaps Derek Dodson should at least have got that on target. I guess at 3-0 up, you don't have to be too severe on Charleston Battery. If it was 0-0, it'd be slightly more critical. But 3-0 has been a fantastic 45 minutes for the home side.
6 shots, 4 on target, and under 1 expected goals. How about that?
Wow.
And that is the final whistle, and you could not have drawn this up any better for the Charleston Battery. 3 goals. It all started in the 12th minute from Emilio Akaza, then 2 goals in 3 minutes. Trouble here, though, for Indy 11.
Oh, huge trouble. This is a mountain to climb, but they've got to come out fighting. Indy 11, doesn't matter whether you lose 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, you've got to come out, you've got to attack, you've got to get more on the front foot and give Seba Guenzani something to work with in the box. If they get one, maybe, just maybe, they can get themselves back in this match.
We have reached halftime of this Eastern Conference quarterfinal. Yesterday it was all upsets. Today, just a little bit different. Charleston out in front by 3 goals to 0. Halftime here from Patriots Point. Stay with us. We'll take you around the USL Championship playoffs right after this.
There's a brand This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me.
This is no sleepy-headed, moving in reverse kind of state. We're home to barrier-breaking humans who took $7 billion and invested it in microchips, potato chips, nope, education. This investment, it builds jobs and more jobs where people create things like flying, not that. Who does all this? Forward-thinking pilgrims of change, like you. South Carolina. Now that's smart.
Halftime here from Patriots Point. Just a picture-perfect Sunday afternoon turning into evening, and the fans here absolutely loving it. Yes, that is 3-0 to the Charleston Battery. Of course, there were plenty of games going on yesterday, so let's fire up the highlights. Let's take you back to Saturday night. Memphis and Louisville. You better tune in early. First minute, Bruno Lapa.
He just comes off his chest. Where's Sharp? He can't get to the ball. And Cam Lancaster, the timing and the finish there from a man who knows how to score in playoff matches, and that took the game into extra time.
And then extra time led to penalties. Oscar Jimenez, he would make, and then, unfortunately, a miss. Knight Pickering, Memphis is out.
Yeah, McFadden there with a strike, and it was the first one to be missed, and even the Lou City players came across and gave him a hug and said, sorry that you were the one that had to miss, get your team knocked out.
So Louisville advances then, the top overall seed, the Players' Shield winners. But how about Detroit? Last team into the playoffs. They get the job done.
They do. They're a hard side. They get stuck in. Dominic Gasso from the edge of the box through a whole bundle of feet there. Jamali Wade can't quite see where it is. And they just did that blue-collar Detroit thing, and they worked and they grafted and they stopped the champions of the East.
Maybe one of the more shocking results, at least in terms of scoreline. Birmingham 3, Tampa Bay 0.
Yeah, Tabort attacker Preston getting the first goal there, and you expect Tampa Bay at home to be almost unbeatable, but they couldn't produce anything on the night. They got put to the sword, and eventually the third one, Prosper Kasim tucking it in the corner. Cal Jennings unable to score like he normally does. What a win for Birmingham Legion.
Birmingham takes out the number 2 seed, and we look at the Eastern Conference. This is how it all stands right now. All upsets yesterday. Doesn't look like we're going to get one today, though.
No, it doesn't. Charleston look like they're through to face Birmingham Legion at home. If they win that, they'll be at home again, I assume, against the winners of Blue City and Detroit. So Patriots Point could get ready for a real fun couple of weeks coming up.
And Gary, that was just half the action. We still had 3 more games in the Western Conference. Plenty of good ones here. San Antonio, Colorado Springs, and this is when playing out of the back goes wrong.
God, it drives me nuts, but they got punished for it. Jorge Hernandez in the 55th minute, and Colorado Springs have been in such incredible form, but that sort of ball in such a dangerous area, to me, it's not worth the risk.
The defending champs are moving on, and how about the top team in the West? They just needed 1 goal. Connor Donovan would get it to take down New Mexico.
Doesn't he do well here just to get ahead of his defender and head that into the back of the net? Ball whipped into the box, and that's what they do well, Sac Republic. They put you under pressure from all sorts of areas, and as you say, 1 goal enough to see off a plucky New Mexico United.
And then in Irvine, Orange County, and El Paso, and Milan Alaski continues to get it done.
Who else? That's the goalkeeper side of the wall, but there are a lot of bodies in front of the keeper. Milan Alaski knows that, tucks it in the back of the net. He scores yet again. The Golden Boot winner from last year has not stopped scoring this year.
Now, of course, it was chalk yesterday in the West, but there is still One more game to go, and what a game it is tonight, 10 Eastern, San Diego and Phoenix.
Oh yeah, that's a local rivalry that's seen a few bust-ups in the past. That should be a great match. And the winner of that goes to face Orange County. So if it goes according to the seeds, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll be San Diego. But there's one that went against the norm, and right now Charleston Battery are against the norm in the East, being the only seeded team to go through. Will Phoenix be the only non-seeded team or lowest seeded team to go through in the West? We will find out tonight.
Right now here at Patriots Point, it is all Charleston, 45 minutes away from their first playoff win since 2020. Halftime rolls on.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
The battle starts today.
Wheeler tries to help it along. It's Enriquez in the middle. It's Jairo Enriquez! Oh!
Cuejo! Oh my!
Now, it's time to fight to the final whistle. And beyond.
And the crowd is losing it here.
It's time to put it all on the line. It's time to shine.
There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me.
Halftime from Patriots Point. It is all Charleston at the break. 3-0 to the Battery over Indy 11. Let's take a look at tonight's out-of-town scores. They are brought to you by the Charleston International Airport. And there are plenty of good games to come here in these USL Championship playoffs. Of course, we saw the brackets and all of the good games that we are going to see. Louisville is going to take on Detroit. These are all confirmed times. Sacramento and San Antonio. And then, of course, tonight we talked about that San Diego-Phoenix game, but that Sacramento-San Antonio game, that might have some intrigue.
That has a lot of intrigue. Two of the top teams, to be fair, on their day, probably the two best teams in the league, along with Pittsburgh. They've been absolutely fantastic, going head-to-head. That should be a cracking match. And Lou City up against a plucky Detroit City on Saturday, but a Lynn Family Stadium, you would think they're favorites to go through.
Well, here today, as we look back at the highlights, first goal, 12th minute, Emilio Icaza.
Yeah, you know, it's either the goalkeeper's ball or someone should be defending the near post, but that's way too easy. Good ball whipped in by Arturo Rodriguez, but Emilio Icaza, not the tallest, gets past the keeper to put them in the lead.
Now 25 minutes later, getting into trouble. There was Indy trying to play out, and then Augie Williams, but this is all about the goalkeeper.
It is. Tim Schultz gets a straightforward save. It's a disaster for him. Second game in a row that he's had a big error, but give Markane credit for getting turnover ball. Augie Williams takes a strike, and that puts him in a strong position, and then a lovely ball down the touchline here. Derek Dodson, Barajas is going to whip the head in, but look at Arturo Rodriguez head this in real style. One for the cameras to remember him by.
Great diving header. Rodriguez gets his 3rd goal of the season, and it gets Charleston out to a 3-0 advantage. We look at the halftime stats. They are presented by Heineken. I mean, there just hasn't been much in that half for Indy 11.
No, 1 shot on target. Their expected goal is 0.07. In other words, they really haven't impacted in the attack at all. For Charleston Battery, 4 shots on target, 3 goals. Their expected goals just over 1. So to get 3 goals from just 1, well, that's a goalkeeper error, and it's poor defending at a set piece that has allowed that to happen. So it's going to take a massive effort from Indy 11 to turn this one around, but it's worth a try. And as we said, get 1 goal, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have game on.
Halftime here from Charleston. We'll have the second half between the Battery and Indy 11 coming up next.
The estimated hold time is now 96 minutes.
Sorry, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, please hold.
Hey Google, turn up the heat.
Charleston is located in the low country of South Carolina.
The history here, it runs deep, and you can't imagine being anyplace else. This place is magical.
We are just about set to go for the second 45 minutes. The former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey. I'm Josh Eastern, closing out the weekend in the Eastern Conference playoffs. 1 spot remaining in the conference semis. And right now it belongs to the Charleston Battery, but they have to see this out for 45 more minutes. Will Indy 11 get a couple of goals to make this one interesting coming down to the wire, but a long way back, and no subs made at halftime.
Yeah, they've got to just change the way they play. They're going to be more attack-minded, take more risks, and probably find that Mark Lowry will give it 10 minutes, and if he doesn't start to see the sort of play that he wants, then he'll start bringing on subs, the likes of Stefano Pino, perhaps, Roberto Molino. Obviously missing Solo Asante. No, Aidan Quinn, through bad injury, starts to limit the numbers they have on the bench, even only 5 outfield players on the bench.
It looks like Charleston picking up right where they left off. It's Dodson. Sliding in was Dambrot to get this out of play.
Most of the risks that Indy 11 will have to take, they're going to have to push the odd extra player forward, which means they'll be more vulnerable on the counter-attack. Of course, that's what Charleston Battery will be looking to do, to try and get a fourth and really wrap this one up.
Barajas ready to deliver. He'll play this in short. He'll look to get the return ball. Barajas sends it up. He hasn't quite cleared it yet. An acrobatic attempt there by Markanek. Sent back into the mixer, and finally Indy able to get this away. But it's won right back and moved out wide. Rodriguez cuts it back. Barajas just passes that into the corner. The young star for the Charleston Battery. It's 4 goals for Charleston.
Well, you would think that's game, set, and match now. What a comfortable finish, as you say, from Barajas. Such a clever player, knew exactly where he had to put that ball and how much pace. And maybe they've come out, Indy, with that idea of pushing a few more up, but they've paid the price within the first couple of minutes. You've got to credit Charleston Battery for putting that pressure on. Keep on winning the ball here. What a good win that is. To get the ball on the edge of the box, put it out to Rodriguez, passes it back to Barajas, but he just sees that gap, doesn't panic, doesn't go to smash the ball, just clever football IQ, just to see a bit of a gap there, roll the ball past Tim Trilk, and surely that is it now. There's no way you can come back from 4-0, and what a pity for the neutrals who might have hoped that Indy 11 would get one back and make a game of this, but you really have to think that is it now for Mark Lowry's side.
Fidel Barajas, what can't this kid do? He just continues to score goals. That is his 5th so far in this USL Championship season for the 17-year-old. We mentioned he just got back from Mexico under 17 international duty. His name on watch list for best young player in the world. A budding young star here right at home in the USL Championship. Spent time in the Sacramento Republic and the San Jose Earthquakes academies. He's from Sacramento, but he's getting it done for Charleston right now.
He is, and that article you referred to was in the Guardian newspaper in England. They picked out 60 young soccer players from across the globe who have potential, and you're quite right, he was one of them featured there. And when we asked Ben Pearman about him, he said, I've never coached a player so young. Someone who can get in the team and impact at such a young age, very competitive, growing day by day. And he says, you know what's so good about him? He puts the team first. He's a real team player, which is something that Ben Pearman has been hammering home all season with the squad, that they play for each other first and not for themselves. And Barajas, as he takes a knock and gets hit to the ground there, he says is a real team player.
Player down here for Charleston.
That is Barajas, the youngster.
Yeah, Fidel Barajas is down and holding his head. When we were talking with Ben Pearman, it sounded like there was a bit of a question as to whether he would actually start in this game, just because he had come back from international duty, and obviously good enough to give it a go, and right now he is struggling.
Maybe it's a little bit of a knock to the back of the head and he's feeling a bit concussed. But look at the effort here for Charleston Battery to win this ball. They win it there on the edge of the box, lose it, they win it back there. That's a crucial moment. Play it wide, Arturo Rodriguez head up, gets it to Barajas. But he just spots a moment where there's like a parting of the players in red, and he doesn't have to hit the ball hard, he just sees it and slots it home so easy.
Did you mean to say a parting of the Red Sea? It was sitting right there, Gary. Come on.
It was. Well done. I like it.
I thought you were going to go with it, or you gave it to me, so thank you.
But that's it now. You would think from here, Charleston Battery, not that 3-0 wasn't it, but this is virtually impossible to come back from against a good Charleston side on home turf. What they have to do now is just manage this game professionally. Don't get caught in pushing and shoving. No red cards. You know, you're thinking ahead to the match at home against Birmingham. And Solo Asante, a huge loss for Indy 11. And he fell foul to that in their last match against San Antonio. Have a look, he just hit the, oh no, it was the knee actually. It wasn't so much the push from behind. It was the knee of Emilio Icaza that he fell into. That dazed him a little bit.
We'll see what Ben Pearman wants to do. Obviously still a long way to go in this game, but Obviously, scoreline well in their favors. Barajas comes back on, and just thinking about what we were talking about early on, in that it was a 4-0 win on this field back in June for Indy. It's been completely flipped, and I guess we want to look at the 3 games, the aggregate right down the middle now. A couple of 4-0s, and then the 1-1 there in the middle of the season in Indy.
The one that counts, I'm afraid to say, is this one.
Both coaches kind of said it. Regular season doesn't matter anymore. It's all about what you can do here in the playoffs, and Charleston making it count. They have another corner.
And I would think this is a time for a lot of subs for Ben Pearman, maybe get a few key players off the pitch. Augie Williams on a yellow, Barajas, the young kid. And certainly for Mark Lowry, well, you may as well just chuck on fresh faces and change things up. You've got nothing to lose at this stage.
Barajas, it's an in-swinger. The header looping towards goal and onto the roof of the net. And it did take a deflection. Indy players pleading their case, but it'll be another corner kick coming. We saw an Olympico yesterday in the USL League One playoffs. Wonder if Barajas getting any ideas here. Barajas. Plenty of depth on this one. Some contact there on Dodson. It'll be another corner kick, though, from the far side, and Dodson is shaken up.
Was there a leading elbow there from Guenzardi? Let's have a look at that again. Captain goes up. He does lead with his hand, right in front of the referee, Jeremy Scher, but probably puts it down as accidental. Certainly Dodson felt that. Rodriguez with a few words to say.
Another corner kick coming here. Play this towards the top of the area. Taken on the first time. Barajas had it blocked down. I would have liked to see where that one would have ended up.
Yeah, this is from the training ground. They've practiced this a few times. And you're right, if that doesn't get blocked, that is heading towards goal at some pace.
How about Arturo Rodriguez today? A goal and 2 assists. It has been just a tremendous outing.
Yeah, great performance from him. Loved his diving header. Spectacular moment for Arturo Rodriguez, but he's been instrumental in everything they have done here today, Charleston Battery.
And they're coming forward again. Switch of play. Taken down by Dodson. Allen. Dodson again, this time looks towards goal. Didn't get through for Augie Williams.
Trey Muse hasn't had much to do. We mentioned that the expected goals was something like 0.17. Very poor considering that in recent games they've been really good, Indy. Their last 3 games, expected goals combined of 4.7. So sort of 1.5 per game. Right here they've literally 0.17 is nothing. They haven't tested Trey Muse at all.
The Battery have a brand new look on and off the field this year thanks to Hummel, the club's official jersey provider. Check out the full line of new Battery gear, including the custom 2023 primary, secondary, and alternate kits by visiting shop.charlestonbattery.com. You knew coming into this second half, obviously the next goal would have been so important At 3-1, you think, okay, you're in with the shout.
Yep.
At 4-0, not really.
They had no choice, Indy. They had to try and push forward. What was amazing was how quickly Battery took advantage of that. Got their players forward, kept playing their style, and got a 4th goal. You have to credit Charleston Battery that really put in a perfect professional performance today.
Barajas rolling this in. Dizpay able to deal with it initially. And Indy able to get this away. Robledo. Big challenge there on the far side, and a yellow card right to the pocket for Yunus Boudadi. No question about it.
Frustration, no doubt, creeping into the Indy 11 play. That's not only is that a yellow, that is bordering a red. If that foot's any higher, sliding in like that, you can understand that for Indy players, this is a real blow. 4-0. And what Charleston Battery need to do, as you mentioned, if they're going to go on in this tournament, not to respond, not to take the provocation, and I would even suggest getting Augie Williams off the pitch and Barajas as well.
A yellow card brought to you by Spinks Convenience Stores located across South Carolina. Looks like Barajas was there laying on the ground right in front of the Charleston bench as well. See him there in the background.
Got some discussion going on here. Ben Pierman
talking things over. Brian Jones, Lee Weidman. Lee Weidman, the former Oklahoma City or OKC Energy head man, has joined the staff this year. Devin Rensing as well, part of his staff that was with him at Memphis. Got some nice kicks on too, does Ben Pierman.
Yeah, I think just now that's exactly what I was saying. The coach is a little bit worried that key players might get injured here. The match is as good as done. It's about game management, but if you're an Indy player, you're angry, you're annoyed, you're frustrated with each other, with the result, with the mistakes that have been made. Both this match and the previous game. If you look at the match against San Antonio, Boudadi gave away a penalty for the first goal. Trilk spilled a shot for the second. And in the 88th minute, the equalizer was from a corner. And that's exactly what's happened here today. The goal, their first goal this time was from a corner. Another mistake by Trilk. It really has been a couple of games of individual errors that have cost Indy 11 in the last 2 matches.
Looks like the day is going to be done for Fidel Barajas. A shame to see him come off in the fashion that he must, but it is going to be Tristan Traeger who will come on to replace him. Traeger's first season with the club, 5 goals and an assist. After spending last season with Atlanta United 2. That is the first sub of the game. That Barajas is okay and ready to go for a potential game next week against Birmingham right here.
If the Birmingham Legion players are watching, and no doubt a whole bunch of them are in the coaching staff, they'll know that they've got a massive game on their hands. But it's given them some idea of what to expect. Not that they don't know. They were here last week, so they know exactly what to expect. But player football slightly different to league football. They can see the power and strength of Charleston Battery, the way they come at you from both wings, through the middle, midfield, turnover ball, quick transition, all those things. And Birmingham Legion will have a week to prepare themselves, unless we have a miracle and Indy 11 can score 5 goals in 30 minutes.
Or at least 4.
Or at least
extend
4.
the game.
That's true. That is true. Given what we've seen so far, they haven't offered anything going forward.
No shots in this second half. As you can see, first match they've conceded 4 goals this year.
again, you just wonder if Aidan Quinn was fit, if Solo Asante hadn't picked up that second yellow last week, what would this team be like?
Jack Blake as well, as Dodson looks to roll this in front. It took a deflection, it's cleared away. Charleston closing in on a fifth. And here's Leland Archer. Center back has come forward and blasted it across.
Yeah.
His eyes got big here.
Yeah, he's put in a center backs type cross, just wellied the ball into the middle. But no criticism of Charleston Battery, not when they're 4-0 up in a playoff match. There's nothing you can say that isn't 100% positive to Ben Pearman's side at the moment.
We should clarify that sub for Fidel Barajas is being used as a concussion sub, which means Indy 11 will get one extra substitution as well in this game, although they only have 5 field players on their bench, so I guess it doesn't necessarily matter unless there's an issue with the goalkeeper. So still 3 windows and 5 subs available for Charleston. In behind, it's Augie Williams. Slowed down, now he rolls it all the way across. It is 5 goals for Charleston. How about this performance? Leaving no doubts. It's Nick Marcanic.
Great play from Augie Williams there, just holding the ball up, waiting for his moment, head up. He's watching the runners in the box and he puts the perfect ball in there for Nick Marcanic. And that started all in the center of the pitch. A lovely direct ball through to Augie Williams. He's got this pay marking, but he's got his head up at the same time. He's waiting for that run. And Budadi unable to stop Marcanic from getting ahead of him. Great play again from Charleston Battery. It's not like they're happy with 4. They just keep on coming forward. And it is a fantastic display from Ben Pearman's team in this playoff match.
That dazzling play is brought to you by Diamonds Direct. 10th goal of the season for Nick Marcanic. What a performance. His 3rd goal in 4 matches. He scored last week against Birmingham. He's pumping up the crowd. He was celebrating with his family as well. And some subs as well for Indy 11. It is going to be Stefano Pino and Roberto Molina coming on for Sebastian Velasquez and Harrison Robledo. They also have sent on Jesus Vasquez for Robbie Dambrot. 3 subs used in that one window for Mark Lowry. It is spiraling out of control for Indy 11. And this is closing in on shades of 2019. If you remember, Pittsburgh taking down Birmingham 7-0 in the conference quarterfinals. That's the last time Pittsburgh was the #1 seed. It's also the year that Indy 11 went on to the conference final. Last time they were in these playoffs.
I just wonder from an Indy perspective whether those subs couldn't have been made at halftime. You're 3-0 down, bring on fresh faces, try and revitalize the players on the pitch. I'm not so sure it makes any difference when you're 5-0 down, but maybe Mark Lowry felt the players he had on the pitch were his best option at the time. I just would have felt some fresh faces might have just made Charleston Battery think, and you never know if they could have got that breakthrough and made it 3-1 instead. It's gone from 4-0 to 5-0. It's such a pity for this Indy side who've looked so good most of the season. They've played some wonderful football, great to watch. Best possession side in the league. And it's a sad exit from the USL playoffs for a team that could have offered so much more. Again, imagine them with Quinn and Solo Asante, what it could have been. That's probably what their fans are saying. Unfortunately, the reality is they're 5-0 down here with 25 minutes to play.
Now a set piece opportunity there on the far side. Arturo Rodriguez whipping this one in. Cleared all the way out to midfield and maybe a chance to break. Douglas Martinez. Segbers. And he keeps the shutout alive. A bouncing ball, and it just never felt like Martinez could really settle it.
Good chasing back there by Mark Segbers. It's only the 4th appearance for the side since he's moved from Miami. And that was just a crucial moment. It might not mean anything in terms of the score as such, but what it does do, gives you confidence you can keep a clean sheet and you can go into the next match against Birmingham and know that you're going to be super tight at the back.
How about for Indy? Just 2 players in this game with a touch in the opposition box. Andrew Ndiaye with 2, Douglas Martinez with 1.
Yeah, it's been one of their worst attacking performances I've seen from Indy 11. As I was saying with the expected goals, it's been 1.5 per match the last 3 matches. Right now, though, it's still 0.07, which effectively says they have done absolutely nothing in attack. And the problem is that the opposition, Charleston Battery, have done everything in attack. So it's been a contrasting start. And I know that Mark Lowry, when he spoke to us, was so hopeful that his possession football, now you can see the expected goals up there, 1.98 to 0.07. Mark Lowry was so hopeful that by playing possession football, they could dominate the game, they could create chances for the likes of Seba Guenzadi and Douglas Martinez. It just hasn't happened. Charleston Battery have won that turnover ball in midfield. They've countered with pace. They've used their set pieces really well. They've whipped balls in the box. They've got bodies in the box. They've just been incredibly effective on the day.
It may not be good news here for Mark Segbers, as he is slowly walking off and holding his lower back. It sounds like 3 subs are being prepared here for Charleston. Remember, that first sub with Barajas coming off was considered a concussion sub.
And again, to my point, you may as well give all the subs a run out because you want to protect your players now. The game is done and dusted. It's in the bag. And I think if you're Ben Pearman, it makes a lot of sense now to bring on the rest. Give them a run. You might need them. And if Segbers has any doubts, he comes off, which it looks like he is doing right now. So bring all those players on, give them a run out, and try and protect your important players you have on the pitch.
So 3 subs is going to be Beto Avila, Robbie Crawford, and Andrew Booth coming onto the field. Arturo Rodriguez, one of those players coming off. It looks like Mark Segbers will be as well. Augie Williams will also be coming up. Remember, he was on that yellow card. A triple substitution, and now a corner kick coming here for Indy 11. Cam Lindley standing over this. Just the 2nd corner kick of the game for Indy. The referee needing to step in here. Lindley, the in-swinger, put right on top of that 6-yard box. Muse still bouncing around and clear. There's a player down right on the goal line as Lindley just sends this out of play and allow to check here on the player down.
That was a very good corner put in. It was difficult for Trey Muse to come and get. They managed to head it up in the air. Then Trey Muse battles to get a punch on it. I don't know if that's his own player that he punched. He didn't quite connect with the ball. Derek Dodson down. But a really, really good corner into the box there from Indy. They do get away with it. They've still got the clean sheet. But some tough moments in defense there for Derek Dodson, Trey Muse and company.
Look towards the goal line here.
Yeah, he's down before the ball even comes in, but it's headed up, and watch Trey Muse, he comes and doesn't quite get the ball. I thought for a moment he had punched somebody, but Derek Dodson was already down. And again, the point for Charleston Battery, don't get drawn into anything, just it's game management now. No fights needed, no late tackles, no yellow, red cards, nothing. Just keep on playing your game. The match is won, it's done and dusted.
Foul. This one will be against Vasquez, right to the pocket. Yellow card. Brought to you by Spinks Convenience Stores, located across South Carolina. Goes to Jesus Vasquez.
Again, the frustration coming from the Indy 11 players. If you're Charleston Battery, you just don't respond, bring it down a notch, slow the game down, just try and take the sting out of the match. Because they've got a big game coming up next weekend against Birmingham Legion.
Just touched into play. Ikaza back for Dodson. Here's Traeger. Traeger ushered into the corner there by Dizpay as this header is flicked across. Be tracked down over there by Robbie Crawford.
Good football management here from the Battery. It's keeping possession, moving the ball around. You don't need to attack. You can take the ball forward, bring it back. Just try and keep possession.
Flag is up for offside. And if you can't watch the match, here on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access, Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern, plus your live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the SXM app. Crowd trying to get in the head of Tim Trilk. And now this one's blocked out of play. As a goalkeeper, you've already spilled a shot that nearly turned into a goal. Then you did spill a shot that turned into a goal. Where do you feel like his head's at right now?
Probably not in a good place, because he knows that his mistake at 2-0 was absolutely crucial. He probably has half the blame for the near post corner that he couldn't reach. So, and if you don't make those mistakes, then your team's still in with a shot. At 3-0 down, they were chasing and they've been caught on the counter. So yeah, he's got to hold his hands up, and I'm no doubt he will, as he did last week against San Antonio. But it's one thing making it in a league match where you can get away with it. You make it in a playoff match, and that's it, your team's out. So it's a tough one for Tim Trilk here today. As I mentioned, he made some incredible saves against San Antonio last week. That's the sort of, those are the saves you want to make in a playoff match and be the hero, and your team wins 1-0 and you pulled things out the top corner. Instead, it's been anything but that for Tim Trilk. And another foul coming from Indy 11. And the referee, Jeremy Shear, will have to keep an eye on this. He's got to protect the Charleston players. When the match gets to 5-0 and the score is virtually over, you have to protect the leading team if the tackles start racking up, which they are now.
Adrian Dizpay into the book. That yellow card brought to you by Spinks Convenience Stores, located across South Carolina. Eric Dodson standing over this. So is Chris Allen. Came over with Ben Pierman from Memphis from a year ago.
crucial player as far as Ben Pearman's concerned, because he knows exactly what the coach wants. He's also been a solid player in midfield, driving forward. Declan Moon was a good signing from Detroit City as well. Derek Dodson, they all know exactly what the coach wants, and they've been able to help implement it and get the culture changed there at Charleston Battery. They had such an unbelievably successful spell under Mike Anhauser before that, and then for some unknown reason they made a coaching change last season, and it was an horrendous season for everyone at Charleston Battery. But they're back where they belong, in the playoffs, and seemingly with a great chance to go to the final. Not that, again, Birmingham Legion at home will not be easy, but they beat them 1-0 last week. They're in great form at home, Charleston Battery. They have to be considered at least the favourites, but I'm pretty sure that Ben Pearman will have the highlights out of the match against Tampa Bay Rowdies and say, guys, if you think this team's easy, have a look at what they did to Tampa Bay Rowdies and then think again.
The whole complexion in the East has changed. Obviously, Pittsburgh, best team in the league. You've got Tampa Bay, maybe some of the best form coming into the playoffs, both them gone. All right, next up, Charleston. This is a statement.
Well, that's what Ben Pearman wants. He said, I want a bit of luck. I want to get through and then a bit of luck with the other draws. And that one just headed wide. Who was marking him? Such a chance at the near post there. I think at this stage, Indy 11 have just pretty much given up on it. Tristan Traeger with the header. Lovely ball in from Emilio Icaza. Absolutely unmarked. 10 yards out.
Seems like there's been a lot of that today.
Yeah, it just hasn't been a great day for Indy, and it's such a pity because they are a very, very good team. And I'm sure most neutrals would love to have seen Solo Asante be fit for the, not be fit, not get the second yellow. Love to see Aidan Quinn be fit for it. But it's not to be, and you have to live life without certain players, and they just haven't been able to. Indy just haven't impacted this game at all. In fact, I'm not even sure Trey Muse has had a save to make.
He's made one save in this game. And it was that shot from Maka King way back in the first half that kind of just dribbled into his hands.
Yeah. It's one of those, you can keep his shirt for next week. It doesn't need washing.
Maybe he can keep a clean sheet. He'll get a clean shirt for next week.
Again, that clean sheet important, and they'll still be wanting to keep it tight at the back and take a clean sheet and a good 5-0 win into the next match. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but it certainly makes you feel confident. At Patriots Point as well, really is all pointing towards a good run in this competition for Charleston Battery.
12 shutouts so far this year for Trey Muse. Was trying to weave through, taking off the ball. And then a foul. And that should lead us to two subs. AJ Cochran and AJ Patterson coming on. It'll be the end of the day for both Chris Allen and Nick Markanek. Good performances for both players today. You mentioned the importance for Allen in the middle and Markanek getting on the score sheet today. He has gotten up to now double-digit goals here in 2023. Two very experienced players coming on. AJ Cochran, of course, former Indy 11 player and played with Indy 11 over the last couple of years. And AJ Patterson, his 5th season with the Charleston Battery. right through the middle, and it comes all the way through for Trey Muse.
Okay, just looking down the bracket and talking about Ben Pearman's wish that the rest of the bracket works his way. Well, obviously it has, hosting Birmingham as opposed to traveling to Tampa Bay. But should they get through that, and it's a big if, going to be a really close and tough match, but should they get through Charleston Battery, then they will play the winner of Lou City up against Detroit, with Pittsburgh out on that side. So all those results have opened up the way for Charleston to get home games and to win the East, and then one big final match against the champions of the West. But again, they've got a job to do against Birmingham at home. Definitely prefer to play them than Tampa Bay away, but it's still not going to be an easy one. But you have to feel, if you're a Charleston Battery, that the way is opening up and that there's a real good chance that Battery can win the East and go all the way to the final.
Obviously, they have to be considered the favorites now, just based on the seeding. Only top 4 seeds still alive in the Eastern Conference. It's been turned upside down.
Well, based on that and based on this result and the fact they beat Birmingham 1-0 a week ago, certainly all those facts point as well to this being an extremely difficult team to beat here at Patriots Point.
And remember, they are 2 wins and a Sacramento loss away from hosting the USL Championship final. And see, this is what you just can't have at the end here. A yellow card will go to Cam Lindley.
Charleston Battery don't respond. There's nothing to be gained by getting into it with Cam Lindley. He's upset, he's angry, and you can understand why. And there's a tug and a pull. And yes, there's a yellow card, but don't then follow it up. Kaza, he raises his hands to his face as well, Cam Lindley's face. He didn't push or shove him, but never raise your hands to an opponent's face.
That yellow card is brought to you by Spink's Convenience Stores, located across South Carolina.
Of course, must mention it's very easy sat in the booth here. It's a different story when you're on the pitch and passions are at their highest and you're defending yourself, and been in those situations. It's a lot more difficult to contain your anger, but you've always got to be the consummate professional and just not get goaded into those retaliations. From a Charleston Battery point of view, from Indy 11, you're just angry, you're frustrated. It's been a terrible day at the office. You know you've let your fans down, and it's going to come out in this sort of behavior. And I don't blame Cam Lindley. It's a horrible place to be on the end of a thumping like this.
Conversation still ongoing. Well, don't miss a minute of action as the journey to USL glory continues with the conference semifinals beginning October 27th through October 29th on ESPN+. It all concludes with the USL Championship final November 12th on ESPN2 and Sirius XM FC channel 157. Of course, the bracket will be complete after tonight's game between San Diego Loyal and Phoenix Rising, 10 o'clock Eastern. That is going to be quite the spectacle. Phoenix back in the playoffs for the first time in a couple years. San Diego, they have never won a playoff game. They have been eliminated in the first round the last 2 years. What will give tonight?
That's in the season in which San Diego Loyal will cease to exist at the end of the season. So a tough one for all their fans and players, and they're going to want to go as far as they can in this tournament. It's also a little bit of a, not quite a local derby, but there's certainly local feelings between Phoenix and San Diego.
Sure is.
Been some quite spicy matches in the past.
I think it's fitting that that's the one to close the weekend. As Juan Guerra said, this is the match everybody should want to watch. I think he's a little biased, but I think it should be a good one.
It absolutely should be.
Cochran, his clearance was blocked down. Guenzati, like we haven't called his name a whole lot in this game.
Yeah, we haven't. That's been the problem for Indy 11. They haven't been able to get any service into that box. They haven't given him anything to work with. As we say, they've made zero impact in attack. Expected goals, 0.09. Well, that's one of the worst I've seen in the USL all season. And that's from a team that normally is so good at creating opportunities. I guess rather than knock Indy, and you have to credit Charleston Battery for the way they've closed everything down. They have hunted in packs, they have won their 50-50s, they've given nothing away, and yet they've still been quick to counter-attack, get balls wide, whip them in. It's just been a fantastic performance. Maybe that's not so much Indy having a bad day as Charleston having a fantastic day.
Ben Pierman said, we want to be in their faces. I think it's fair to say that has been the case.
Absolutely.
Lindley floats it forward. He'll chase this down. Sends it into the box again. The header is steered wide. It's the second attempt on goal of this half for Indy 11. eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. Free to play. Download now.
I think it's a tough one for India. Go back to that quote from Mark Lowry to us. He said, if we lose by playing our way. To be fair, they haven't played their way. It just hasn't worked for them. The possession football hasn't been there. The service into the front players hasn't been there. They've been hustled off the ball. They've been out-battled in midfield. They've been out-maneuvered in terms of transition. And also they've made some errors in defense. And those errors, you asked me the question earlier, but Tim Trilk's mistake for the second goal, that's the killer. The first one from a set piece is bad enough, but at 1-0 you're in the game. The goalkeeper's error at 2-0, and then that diving header from Arturo Rodriguez, and now you've really got a problem to try and fight back from that. So not that it's Tim Trilk's fault, but you look back and think, if he doesn't make that error, then maybe India still in the game. And well, there's a bit of an elbow there.
And this is going to be a yellow card. Emilio Icaza. It's brought to you by Spink's Convenience Stores located across South Carolina. No hard feelings after that one. And a free kick coming for Indy 11, closing in on stoppage time. Here's Lindley curling this in. Heads go up. This one comes out of play. There is no MUSC Health Sports Medicine stoppage time. This game is over. And in resounding fashion, the Charleston Battery are moving on. The highest seed left in the Eastern Conference. Their first playoff win since 2020.
Yeah, good shake of hands between the managers. I think Mark Lowry realized that it just wasn't their day and they got totally and utterly beat, and was more than happy to shake Ben Pierman's hand and say, well done. The crowd applaud Charleston Battery as well they might. It's been a tough day for Indy 11, but it's been a superb day for Charleston Battery. And as we said, Birmingham Legion at home. And if they win that, the winners of Blue City Detroit at home, it's all opening up with a possibility, and only a possibility at this stage, of a run all the way to the USL final.
Well, this was a great first start, and a big reason why was because of these fans, and they really showed out today on a beautiful evening here at Patriots Point. Let's take a look at tonight's man of the match. It is presented by Heineken. Arturo Rodriguez, a goal and 2 assists. One of the most influential players on the field tonight.
Absolutely, he got it going with that corner, which Emilio Icaza scored at the near post. Then he had that wonderful header for the third, the one for the cameras, where he hung in midair and thumped it into the corner. And then he set Barajas up for the fourth. So all important goals, the first, the third, and the fourth. And he has been an immense player, has Arturo Rodriguez.
So the celebration on tonight in Charleston, they will have at least one more game, as the final score is Charleston 5, Indy 11-0. It is presented by Wicked Weed. We'll come back and wrap things up. Charleston is moving on.
Think big. Something life-changing. I'm talking education. Let's get inventive. Blow things up in a good way. Do it for 20 years? Wake up, and education has received billions in funding. Who does all this? If you've ever played one of these or these, that would be you. Yeah, thank you.
Charleston is located in the Low Country of South Carolina.
The history here, it runs deep, and you can't imagine being anyplace else. This place is magical.
Think big. Something life-changing. I'm talking education. Let's get inventive. Blow things up in a good way. Do it for 20 years? Wake up, and education has received billions in funding. Who does all this? If you've ever played one of these or these, that would be you. Yeah, thank you.
Back here to wrap things up. Trey Muse, a 13th shutout here in 2023. Arturo Rodriguez, standout performance. The final score, Charleston 5, Indy 0, brought to you by Wicked Weed. Let's take a look at our full-time highlights. They are brought to you by Bud Light. 12th minute. This is when the scoring got started and the barrage started.
Emilio Icaza wins that ball at the near post. There's no defender on the post. Goalkeeper can't get their ball. Whipped him beautifully by Arturo Rodriguez, and they were ahead. And the pressure was already building. And then Marquinhos going to win this ball in midfield. Part of this press that they did so well, Charleston Bantry. Augie Williams is allowed to get to the edge of the box and shoot, but this is all down to Tim Trill. It's a straightforward shot that goes through his hands in the back of the net. And then, in that moment, Indy 11 were in real trouble.
Trilka Howler, and then just a couple minutes later, how about Arturo Rodriguez gets a goal of his own from Fidel Barajas.
Barajas with a lovely little cross here. He can see where Arturo Rodriguez is. He hangs it up perfectly for Rodriguez, who sort of hung back a little bit. And what a fantastic header into the corner. And then it was all about Indy. Could they come back second half? Well, the answer was no. Once again, winning that ball, losing it. They're going to win it back. Get it wide to Arturo Rodriguez, still pushing, looking for options. Ball pulled back there. And then Barajas just picks the spot in the corner. Fourth goal. And that was pretty much it. Game, set, and match.
Passes that into the corner, but they still wouldn't be done. 63rd minute, Nick Marquinhos. He started off really pushing towards goal, and he finally got one to hit the back of the net.
Yeah, Icaza with the pass. Augie Williams doing so well, but he picks out Marquinhos making that run. And they didn't have to score a fifth. They could have just sat on the ball, but it's in their DNA, it would seem, under Ben Pearman, just to keep attacking, keep going for it. And there they now have the pleasure of welcoming Birmingham Legion next weekend.
So this is it, the Final Four in the East. It is Louisville playing host to Detroit. It is Charleston playing host to Birmingham. Pretty good Final Four. And maybe an unexpected Final Four.
Yeah, it's an understatement. 8th and 7th seeds in there, 5th seed. And Charleston the top of the 3rd seeds. But this is what playoffs are all about. You've got to do it on the day. And congrats to Detroit, Birmingham, Blue City, and now Charleston Battery.
Oh, a great finish to the Eastern Conference, the only higher seed in the East to win in these conference quarterfinals. What a game it turned out to be. 5 goals for the Battery as they are moving on. For our entire crew and broadcast partner Gary Bailey, I'm Josh Eastern saying so long. Still one more game to come tonight. It's San Diego and Phoenix at 10 Eastern. But from now, goodbye from Charleston.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.